Hello everyone, this is again Anda from the Twisted Red Ladybug, and today I wanted to share with you a few memories from my childhood and why we celebrate spring and the month of March in Romanian culture. So here we go. So the springtime of my childhood always came with the feeling of renewal, because it would be the first time when we could hear the birds sing after the long cold winter, and it was just a beautiful sight. I used to live in the country house, and back then it was customary to just go outside and celebrate the coming of spring, leaving in the trees food for birds, and in the forest we would leave food for animals that were living there as a supplement if the winter was really harsh. So people used to care about nature much more back then, and they understood that the balance has to be maintained. Because if you're screwing up with Mother Nature will most definitely screw up with you as well. So the month of March, or back home we call it Martie. Um, it's a very joyful month for the Romanian people, and we start celebrating with the 1st of March, which equals spring coming back to us, and it gives us the promise of warmth and new beginnings. The days are longer, the sun is brighter, the flowers start blooming, and birds start singing. The green spaces always need trimming, and there are new flowers popping out. So that's also from the 1st of March, and even a bit before that, people start selling the traditional Romanian symbol of spring called the Martisor. Martisor. Well, basically the word Martisor is a diminutive of Mart, which is the old folk name for the month of March, Martie, and that literally means little March, small March, Martisor. And we're celebrating by wearing a string, which is called the year's rope. In Romanian that would be Funia Anului, and it's made in with red and white wool threads, and it represents the year, and the fight between, let's say, summer and winter, light and dark, warm and cold. Before it used to be black and white, but it switched to red and white to symbolize white for the purity and the newness of spring, and then red symbolizing the blood and the new life pumping through Mother Earth's veins. So for me, I have not missed a year of not wearing the Martisor, and it was a huge celebration when we were in school to bring a lot of Martisor with us and share it with the other kids, and you would just it would be a very happy celebration. And the wearing of the Martisor was always a pleasure, and you would receive it from friends, from family, throughout the month of March, and it was just joyful. And as kids, we would collect them and trade them between kids, and we would make sure that we would have each model possible. For good luck, you would have a four-leaf clover, or a chimney sweeper, or a horseshoe. And then there were the symbols of spring, like a blossoming tree, or a snowdrop, or other spring flowers, basically. Sometimes ladybugs as well. So we would wear them like the whole month very proudly on our chests and trade them out. And it was just beautiful to just walk down the street and see everybody wearing it, and having their own collection. And another tradition that we have is that during the month of March you need to wear a Martisor around your wrist for the full month, so from the 1st of March to the 31st of March in the evening. And once the 31st of March sun sets, you need to break your Martisor and put it in a tree that is blossoming. You would tie it around one of the branches and make a wish. I know it kind of sounds pagan, but I've always done this, and even got my Polish side of the family into the tradition and friends. And I swear, each time I made a wish, that wish actually came true. And it's quite hard in Poland because March is not quite the month of blossoming trees, so it's hard to find a tree that is in blossom. But back home, you would have blossoming trees in March, and you would have trees filled with red and white flags, just flowing around in the soft spring wind. So it's really nice to see that. Also, before the 1st of March, women choose one of the 9 days of March, so the first 9 days from 1st of March till 9th of March, to be their baba, old lady. And basically you choose a date, and depending on how the weather is in that day, that's how your year will be for you. Well, the first 9 days of March are called Baba Dokia days, so Old Dokia days. So if you remember the story that I was telling you about the Dokia who had a child, it's the same lady, and about Dragobeta, that's the same lady. So Baba Dokia is just like the image of the great earth goddess. Sometimes she's mean, sometimes she's nice, sometimes she's pretty, sometimes she's old. Anyways, but you should pick a date between 1st and 9th of March, and the date that you pick should kind of be based on the date of your birth. So let's say if you're born on the 2nd, you should choose the 2nd of March, and if you're born on 26, like I am, then you would add the 2, so 2 and 6, and you would get 8. So my day would be 8th of March. But I would always cheat a little bit. So if it wouldn't be sunny or nice on the 8th, I would say like, no, mine is on the 9th. So sometimes I get lucky and it's nice weather, sometimes it isn't. Anyways, month of March is a favorite from us also, because you have people standing on stands everywhere selling little flowers, spring flowers, that from snowdrops to daffodils to violets and saffron flowers. And you can see men buying flowers for their grandmothers, mothers, wife, daughters, all women around. And they would even buy for their co-workers. And it's a nice spring surprise and gesture to put the girls in a good mood. And teachers would also receive flowers throughout that day, throughout those days, because from the 1st till 8th of March you can get flowers and chocolates. So you wouldn't buy something very extravagant, but it's just like a small attention. So this is it from the month of March. There are a few other stories that I would like to tell you, and one is related to the 9th of March, which is the celebration of the 40 saints of Sebastian. We call it Cei 40 de Mucenici, the 40 saints, but that's a whole different story that I wish to tell you on another time, and I hope you enjoyed this.